What is going on, guys? Halo Infinite's second flight has just wrapped up and I was fortunate enough to finally play it. So yeah, let's talk about it. So let's sit back, relax, and let's talk about some Halo. Now, I am really excited to be getting into this video because I finally get to give my full on-hands review of Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I gave my opinions on the first flight in a previous video, but that was like just from what I've seen. But now that I've finally been able to get into the second flight, I can go more in depth, so yeah, let's get right into it. So yeah, first things first, the gameplay you'll be seeing is captured on the Xbox One X. I tried to get into the PC flight, but unfortunately I was sent the Xbox invitation, but fortunately I own an Xbox, but my only fear going into it was how it was going to perform on a previous gen console. And surprisingly, it performed really well, especially when going into the settings and changing the quality tab to performance. I had my console set up to a 144Hz monitor with my console settings adjusted to capture my screen at 120Hz, so when I jumped to performance mode on Halo Infinite, I've been getting maybe a steady 60 frames per second with frame drops here and there. Nothing that took from the experience, but it was a nice surprise with the performance. Speaking of settings, that is a highlight in this flight because you are able to adjust your own settings as if you were on PC. You can adjust the FOV, graphic settings, bind your controller inputs, and pretty much play how you want to play. So 3 for 3 going this far to get players on console to adapt and adjust the game to their preference is a nice way of giving them freedom PC players have. So good for you, 3 for 3. That's going to be a point for me. Moving on is customization, which I'm not gonna lie, the UI needs a lot of work. At times scrolling through the pieces of armor to customize it was almost confusing how they have everything laid out. I did end up getting used to it, but as of now, it's a bit of a mess, and I get it. It's still a work in progress, but man, it is ugly. As soon as I got used to everything and looked through everything, customization for your Spartan looks to give you a full creative control on how you want your Spartan to look like when the game launches. In the beta, there is a few choices to choose from when customizing armor pieces, with a few options locked behind a battle pass that's in the game as well as a store. Yeah. There is an active store for cosmetics in the flight. From the looks of it too though, the cosmetics are purchased through in-game currency that can be collected while playing the game, and of course there is an option to spend real money for game currency if you so please, which is typical nowadays, especially for a free-to-play game. Only real gripe I have with any type of the customizations is the options for shaders. Just like Destiny's, we are equipped with a shader system. The options to pick and choose what color goes where is no longer an option since Halo decided to go with shaders that you have to hope looks cool. I mean, if you're a Destiny player like myself, I'm worried there'll be lots of options, but rarely you'll find a decent enough shader that can make your Spartan pop. It's not a bad thing, but it's not something I prefer. Prosthetics can be changed as well. You are given the option to change just your hands, forearms, or your entire arm, as well as your legs. It's a neat little addition to fully embrace your creative freedom you'll have into customizing your Spartan. Jumping into some of the gameplay, the first thing I jumped into since multiplayer wasn't available at the time was the weapon drills. So training in general is a new feature to the franchise to help new players get the feel of the game, or help returning players by wearing off some of that Halo rust that's been building up since Halo 5. Getting started with training is the weapon drills, which gives players a chance to try out a selection of weapons the game offers, and with the weapons I tested out, they felt actually pretty good. Sniper rifle sounds like an absolute tank. The sidekick is fast paced but effective, and the assault rifle is actually useful in this game. I had a lot of fun trying out the weapons, and I think my personal favorite at the moment is the sidekick. Moving on to the bot academy now. This is also a part of the training where you can load up in a game with bots and help with your multiplayer skills. You can set the amount of bots you want to set up on the enemy team as well as on your team in case you want to practice a 1v1 or a full Slayer team and go with a full 4v4, and you can set the difficulty of the bots as well. There's a whole menu, you can change the settings and how you want to play through it. You can also choose your weapon loadouts as well as the maps that are available to you. It's a great way of getting in your practice. Let's get into the movement and gameplay. Even on console, the game feels really good. The movement, in my opinion, has vastly changed changed since Halo 5. No more thrusters, ground pound that is like locked into your abilities. Thrusters, although are in the game, but it's a part of an equipment that you can grab along in the map, and we'll talk more about equipments later. Moving around feels good, and sprint is well implicated into the gameplay. It's not so fast, it's barely faster than your base moving speed, but it doesn't take away from the experience. It feels like they finally found the right formula to implement a strongly criticized mechanic to fit perfectly without having problems with map size and how quick you can get from point A to point B. I'm sure there are people who will still complain, but you can't really stop that. But other than that, the movement in the game feels so good, and it makes you think that 343 is pulling all stops to making this game the best they've put out. So let's get this out of the way. Multiplayer is sweaty, and in my personal opinion, I did not have fun with it. I had more fun playing with the bots than anything, and it's not like I'm bad at the game, I'm just not the competitive type, and it sucks because today's games, that's all that really is, so there's just no fun to it anymore, but you really can't stop it. I can say I've been through 13 straight losses since starting it before I can even get a win. It's not fun. Getting into gunplay, all the weapons have and feel like their own unique way. Sniper sounds like an absolute tank, battle rifle sounds and feels so good, and the assault rifle got its biggest upgrade I think ever. The range is good, the damage is good, it's the weapon you want to keep in your arsenal when you go out, because I'm not sure about any of you, but in previous Halo games, the assault rifle was the weapon I switched out all the time, so it's good to see that it's finally being useful now. So let's talk about the equipment. Equipments are back in Halo Infinite's multiplayer, introducing active camo, overshield, grapple hook, repulsor, and the drop shield. There was a bug in the game that made thrusters available, but during my time playing, I didn't get to see it or use it. But equipments I found was pretty fun to use, especially the grapple hook. With the grapple hook, you can pretty much grapple onto anything like walls or even other players. You can use it to grab power weapons as well as other equipment around the map. Overshield and active camo are played exactly the same, but this time around you can grab the equipment, and instead of it being automatically turned on when you grab it, you get to choose when you want to turn it on. So be wary of that, because you can drop it before getting to use it. If an enemy player is shooting at you and they kill you, they get a chance to steal it. So yeah, equipment makes for fun gameplay, and it makes me wonder how it will evolve into game types such as Forged and custom games. In Flight 2, we are introduced to 4 maps, 3 previously being in the last flight, and a new one that was being introduced in this flight called Behemoth, and all maps are surprisingly good. Starting with Bazaar, which is a map I believe takes place on Earth, and it kind of reminds me of a Halo 2 map that Bungie would make back in the day. Honestly, it looks like it takes place within the same areas the Halo 2 story did, and I kinda dig it. Next up is Livefire, which is a map that looks like a whole training area for Spartans to, like, you know, train, and that's pretty cool. Recharge is another map that kind of reminds me of one of the later Halo 5 maps, but it also gives me an orbital and cold storage vibes from Halo 3. But last but not least, actually, this one is my personal favorite, and that map is Behemoth, which is like a cross hybrid of Sandtrap and Valhalla, also from Halo 3, and this map takes place on Zeta Halo. It introduces vehicles, which leads me to my next topic. Vehicles have made their debut in Halo Infinite alongside the new Behemoth map that dropped on Sunday. The vehicles that were playable were the Mongoose, Warthog, and the Ghost, and I was able to play and test all 3 of them, and I gotta say, just like the assault rifle, the Mongoose and the Warthog both received massive upgrades from previous installments. They feel useful now. When big team battle comes into play, without a doubt, vehicles will play a much bigger and better spot in the game types. With how fast and more grounded they feel driving around, it's one of the things I'm looking most forward to in the next weekend's flight for sure. So overall, I liked the flight. The only problem I really had with everything was the matchmaking being too competitive, but I'll just have my fun with the bots, and who knows, maybe during time things will change. But that's gonna do it for this video. Are you excited for Halo Infinite, and have you had the chance to play last weekend, or are you gonna play in the upcoming weekend? Let me know in the comments. So go ahead and drop that like button, as it shows your support, as well as subscribe and join the community. We are approaching 100 subs, so let's try to hit that goal by the end of the year. Anyways, be safe out there, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later. Bye.